I locked my own gate, on my own property, with my own lock. 2 days later, the HOA sent me a violation notice accusing me of illegally blocking community access. What they didn't know was that gate wasn't community property at all, and I had the paperwork to prove it. Before we go any further, I want to know where you're watching from. Drop your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your last chance. Hit that subscribe button now, because the next story only gets crazier from here. My name's Daniel, and 3 years ago, my wife and I bought our dream home in a quiet gated community in Texas. Rolling lawns, manicured hedges, a lake view, the kind of neighborhood where everything looked perfect on the surface. But behind that perfection was an HOA board that ran the place like a small kingdom. Every fence height, every mailbox color, every shade of paint had to be approved. Still, we loved our house. Especially one feature that sold us on it immediately: a private side gate connecting our backyard directly to a small utility easement. It wasn't part of any community trail. It wasn't marked on any HOA map. It was ours, built by the original owner a decade before the HOA even existed. We had no idea that gate would soon turn our peaceful life upside down. For years, that gate sat quietly, mostly unused, just a rusty latch and an old wooden frame. Then last spring, we decided to upgrade it: new hinges, a fresh coat of paint, and yes, a proper lock, since we'd caught neighborhood kids cutting through our yard as a shortcut. It seemed harmless, reasonable even, but 2 days after installing that lock, I noticed something strange. H.O. A board member's walking past our fence line slower than usual, whispering, pointing. I brushed it off. Just neighbors being nosy, right? Then came the knock on the door. A woman I recognized from HOA meeting, stiff smile, clipboard in hand, introduced herself as a community compliance officer. She asked if we were aware that locking the gate was a serious issue. I laughed. It's our gate, our property. She simply said, not according to our records, and walked away. That single sentence would spiral into a battle I never saw coming. 3 days later, an official notice arrived in a crisp white envelope stamped with the HOA's seal. The letter accused us of willfully obstructing a designated community access point in direct violation of HOA bylaw section 4.2. I read it twice. Stunned. Designated community access point? That gate had never been listed anywhere as community property. Not in our deed, not in the neighborhood plat map, not in a single document we'd ever signed. The letter demanded we remove the lock within 7 days or face a $500 fine, plus daily penalties until compliance. My wife looked at me, worried. Should we just take it off? But something felt wrong. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It felt like they wanted that gate open for a reason. And that's when I decided, before removing anything, I was going to find out exactly why the HOA suddenly cared so much about a gate they'd ignored for 10 years. I called the county records office the next morning and requested the original property plat map from when the neighborhood was first developed. What I found stopped me cold. The gate and the strip of land behind it was never part of the HOA's common areas. It was private property, fully owned by our lot, dating back to before the HOA's founding documents even existed. So why would the HOA suddenly claim it as a community access point? I kept digging, and that's when a neighbor, someone who'd served on the board years earlier, pulled me aside at the mailbox. "You didn't hear this from me," she whispered, "but check who's been trying to get access to that easement for a shortcut to the new development next door." A shortcut? For what exactly? I had a feeling this wasn't about community access at all. This was about something or someone much bigger. And I wasn't going to find out until the next HOA meeting. The night of the meeting, the community room was packed. I walked in with a folder full of documents: the plat map, my deed, county records, everything. The HOA, a president opened by reading the violation aloud, painting me as the neighbor blocking shared access for personal convenience. Murmurs spread through the room. A few neighbors shot me disapproving looks. Then I stood up. I calmly laid out the county plat map on the projector, showing the gate and the land behind it was 100% my private property. I showed the original neighborhood documents proving it was never designated as a shared access point. Then I dropped the real bombshell, a leaked email, forwarded to me by that same former board member, revealing the HOA president had been in private talks with a developer planning to sell access rights through my property for a new construction shortcut. The room went silent. The developer deal? Never disclosed to homeowners. Never voted on. Completely unauthorized. I looked directly at the board. So tell me again who's really blocking who here? Within a week, the violation notice was formally withdrawn. But that wasn't the end. Homeowners, furious about the secret developer deal, demanded a special meeting. Within a month, 2 board members, including the president, resigned under pressure. An independent audit was launched into other violations issued that year, and guess what they found? At least 4 other homeowners had been wrongly fined using the same twisted logic, all conveniently near that same easement. As for my gate, still locked. Still mine, now with a shiny new sign beside it that reads, "Private property verified by county records." Looking back, if I hadn't pushed to find the truth, that shortcut deal might have gone through quietly, and homeowners never would have known their land was being negotiated behind their backs. Sometimes the smallest lock uncovers the biggest secrets. If this story made your blood boil or made you want to check your own HOA bylaws, smash that like button and tell me, would you have fought back too?